Trauma has voice as well. You just need to be able to listen to it and to ensure that you don't allow the voice of trauma to be louder in your life. Ensure that you have control over it so you can always tune it down.
How do you see trauma, and why do you think understanding it is a key?
I try not to so complex so that, I want everyone to be able to understand me. I jot some things down, but you'll find me maybe not even looking into what I've written because of the experience, I've gathered over time, about this personally and also professionally. One of the things I've figured, about trauma is it's just that part of your life. It's just that thing that you've experienced that can stock you up later on in the future if you have not given it enough attention, or if you have not given it, the right treatment or intervention that it needs for it not to stand in your way. As you grow, as you journey through life, trauma. Sometimes I do wonder how did they come about that name? Like, who always name this stuff? Who named this? Our experience is trauma. Because it got to a time everyone started going on about trauma. I'm traumatized. So I'll be like, well, how do you know you're traumatized? How do you know that it's trauma that is actually holding you back? But I figured over time that all of us, as long as you are living on the face of this earth, as long as you have a family that you grew up in a particular family, you've had misunderstandings in your family, miscommunications and misunderstandings and everything, then there is a very high level of possibility that you've been traumatized at some point in your life. So we all have this thing about our lives that we call trauma. So, I don't want to make it sound like it's something that everyone you cannot overcome. No, but it's just that your trauma, if you're not giving it enough attention, if you have not identified that, oh yes, this is a trauma, it will probably be the baggage that you're carrying around, in your current life. So that's the best way I see trauma. When I work with my clients, I always say to them that, this is this stocked up situation that you're holding on to. And what we want to do in this therapy session is to unstock it. Okay. And so that you can unweave that part of your life. See, when trauma weave you into yourself, you will keep going around with extra baggage. And there's a very high possibility that you're actually even bleeding over other people. You are bleeding over your loved ones. You don't know, because that is how intense trauma can be. It's different for all of us. Some of us have and there's nothing we could do about it. That was our life that's what life has given to us. And some of us, it was inherited. Some of us, it's just something that from the very young age, it is what it is. So we all have our trauma situation. For example, for myself, my parent passed on very early on. So I can only imagine as a young baby, I was told my daddy used to put me on his chest and, I'll sleep on his chest and all of that. I can imagine when my daddy then passed on, even though I was a baby, I couldn't talk or anything, but my brain would have known in that time that there's a separation already, that, there's this person that used to put me on his chest every day, but he's not there anymore. So my brain there was something that would have happened to my brain. So, and then moving on to when my mom passed on as well, I was just 8 years old. Then I realized that, it's like my all the covering I had were gone. So something happened to my brain in that moment when I realized that, whoosh, I'm alone. There's nobody else. So I had my siblings, but all of us were looking for how to survive. So it was like we were living in a survival mode from a very young age. And that can be quite traumatic, for children. So now what I'm trying to explain regarding trauma is that it has different effects on all of us. So I'll use myself and my siblings as an example. So for me, one of the trauma effects that I had is that I remember things even up till my 4 year old, which is very abnormal. Sometimes it's not normal for you to be remembering things like that. And I'll say to my siblings that, oh, I remember this. And my sister will, like, do you even know that? And I will say to my sister, but my sister, the effect that situation, our experiences had on her is that she can't remember anything from childhood. But I can remember everything, every details. So it's very strange. Sometimes when she says that, how can you remember these things? And I'll be like, it's strange that you cannot remember anything. You keep thinking that, so whose brain is working right, you see? But that is what the impact of the trauma that we experience as children. So it had different impacts on both of us. Including my brothers. My brothers can be very nonchalant, very, they can be very evasive, and their wives are always calling me and be like, your brother is your brother. I'll be like, oh, please calm down. It's not their fault. It's what they've been through, you see. So trauma has, I do say that trauma has voice as well. You just need to be able to listen to it and to ensure that you don't allow the voice of trauma to be louder in your life. Ensure that you have control over it, so you can always tune it down, because it is an experience. It has happened. It is stamped already. There's nothing you can do about it. So what needs to happen is to learn how to tune down the volume of your trauma so it's not louder than your current experiences. Okay.